Hey everyone, before we get into the video, I want to give a big thank you to all of you who watched my review for Arthur's Missing Pal. If you haven't already watched it, make sure to check it out after this video. So now that we've hit 50,000 subscribers, I'm sure you're all wondering what my next subscriber milestone video will be about.
I don't know. I never thought I'd get this far.
I know I can't make Arthur videos forever, so I asked you all what you wanted me to cover next, and an overwhelming majority of you said I should tear into the abhorrent Elmo movie. So here's my proposal. When we hit 60,000 subscribers, I'll finally review the adventures of Elmo in Grouchland, and if you want me to cover that sooner rather than later, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can know the moment I post it. So when I started doing spin-offs of FUDW, most of my viewers said I should make an FU video for Buster, specifically the infamous episode Nerves of Steel.
What have I done? I'm a criminal!
I put out a poll a couple weeks ago asking you all if I should cover this episode, a poll which I promptly ignored, because this is my channel, and here I reign supreme. In all honesty, I was going to cover this episode last month, but when I started writing the script, I realized I had a lot more to say about Buster's burglary blunder than I originally thought. I'm not the first person to point out that Nerves of Steel is just a worse version of Buster's Dino dilemma, which debuted 4 years earlier. But when you look at the episodes side by side, you start to see how Nerves of Steel really is just a lazy rehash of one of the better episodes of OG Arthur. So this is going to be a little different from my previous FU videos. I want to go through each of these episodes beat by beat and show how Nerves of Steel completely undoes all the lessons that were taught much better in Buster's Dino dilemma. Let's not waste any more time and delve right in. This video is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. Make sure to subscribe and help get this video to 4,000 likes.
And I say, hey!
We start Nerves of Steel with Arthur explaining how nothing good can come from taking what doesn't belong to you. Case in point, DW discovers one of the brownies she made with Grandma Thora has gone missing. She says they baked 20, but now there's only 19. Since when does this bitch know how to count to 20?
Aha! A suspect!
She tries to finger her brother as the prime suspect, and then goes on to finger everyone in the house until she finds the culprit. Surprise, surprise, it turns out her father stole the brownie.
I didn't steal it. I ate it.
Yeah, DW, did you really think Grandma Thora made 20 brownies just for you? Who am I kidding? Of course that's what she thought. The dim-witted detective runs off to snitch on her father to Grandma Thora. Classy. Coincidentally, this opening scene points out everything that's wrong with the rest of the episode. We have an entitled brat overreacting to a very minor problem, and then getting someone in trouble, even though they didn't really do anything that bad. Now let's compare this to the opening of Buster's Dino dilemma. Arthur explains how everyone he knows has ADHD hyperfixation, like when DW played her crappy video game for 4 days straight, or when Francine became obsessed with cheating at basketball.
Wait, that one didn't count!
It turns out Buster's new fixation is Jurassic Park. Gee, who ever heard of a kid that loves dinosaurs? Their class is going on a field trip to the state park to look for dinosaur fossils, and the ravenous rabbit is chomping at the bit.
Yes!
You see, this episode already does a much better job of setting up the central focus, as well as establishing Buster's motivation for the rest of the episode. Let's continue. The kids get to the park, and we see Buster is decked out to the nines, while Arthur's back is sore from having to carry the whole show. Mr. Ratburn uses his Dom voice to silence his students into submission.
Quiet!
He introduces them to the park ranger, last name Ruth, first name Baby. Ranger Ruth asks if anyone knows what a fossil is, and calls on Buster by referring to him as the one with the ears. I think we could do without the body shaming. Buster goes full OC Dino Don, as he even impresses the brain with his fossil factoids.
It's the calcified remains of ancient organisms.
Buster, that was awesome!
And that's how you earn your invite to the cookout. The class watches a play about how fossils were made, and Mr. Ratbird once again yells for the kids to be quiet! Side note, I never understood why this guy in the back of the dino suit just runs off like this. Maybe he was sick of having to smell this dude's ass the whole time. The kids go hunting for fossils in the creek, and Francine is all too eager to return to the swampy depths from whence she came. Buster spends the whole afternoon fishing for fossils, but only manages to find the contents of Charlie Brown's trick-or-treat bag.
I got a rock.
The kids break for a snack, but Buster tells Arthur to help him keep looking. But they've got soda!
You can drink soda anytime.
Buster, we all know field trip soda hits differently. I don't know why, it just does. Arthur tells Buster he's never going to find a fossil, and then immediately finds a fossil. Buster goes into a fossil frenzy as he tries to wrestle it out of Arthur's hands. He accidentally drops it in the water, and Buster dives in head first to find it. He ends up pelting Arthur with random rocks, though this wouldn't be the first time someone in a kid's cartoon got stoned. Buster gets his hands on the petrified paw print, and Arthur has the nerve to say it looks like a leaf.
A leaf fossil? A leaf fossil?
"How dare you, sir? My great-grandmother was a leaf fossil. Harumph, harumph. I said good day, sir." Buster is excited to show off his new find, until he learns all the fossils go directly to the museum. The blue-balled bunny is pissed that the park would want to hold on to their own property, and decides to keep the fossilized footprint for himself. He hides the fossil under his hat, but Arthur insists it belongs in a museum. He's worried they'll get caught, and Buster tells him to keep his damn mouth shut. The two sneak the fossil onto the bus, but not before sharing a simultaneous hallucination.
Bye-bye now.
Still not as creepy as when Barney says it. So right off the bat, the episode does a tremendous job building up Buster's decision to steal the fossil. The theft itself doesn't happen until 7 minutes into the episode, and that's because we needed that time to establish why Buster cares so much about dinosaurs, and why finding a fossil means so much to him. When Buster finally finds the footprint, it's a satisfying payoff because of how well it was set up. The episode also does a great job showing how Buster can justify his actions to himself while still making it clear that what he did was wrong. Admittedly, Ranger Ruth could have done a much better job explaining why the fossils belong to the park since they're on park property, but you can still understand why Buster feels the way he does. He's the one who found the fossil, so therefore he believes he should get to keep it, even though Arthur's technically the one who found it, but that's neither here nor there. Now let's see how Nerves of Steel sets up Buster's motives. Spoiler alert, they don't do it very well. We see Buster stuck inside on a Sunday afternoon when the Brain stops by to show off his model plane. Just don't let DW get her hands on it. The Brain asks why he's not playing outside, and Buster says it all started when every kid in school became obsessed with Predacons. Flashbacks ensue. Binky uses his new cyber toy to ruin Francine and Muffy's picnic. What a Chad. Buster and Arthur are jealous that every kid in town has a new cyber toy except for them. Even the Tibble Transformers have their own collection. Buster says his mom will only get him one for his birthday, while Arthur's parents tell him to buy his own. With what money? They only give the kid $2 a week. The kids rush to the store to get their hands on the brand new Creepy Castle and Galactic Garage playsets. Seems a bit niche. Buster heads to the toy store to admire the knockoff Emperor Zurg dolls. Sorry, action figures. Buster fantasizes about showing off the overpriced piece of plastic to all his friends, right before it tears down the sugar bowl with its laser beams. Damn, Bunny Boy's out for blood. Buster is bitter he can't have the toy, until he sees Arthur's backpack sitting wide open. I wonder how this is gonna play out. Buster sneaks the doll into his best friend's backpack, and nearly gets caught by DW.
Hey, I saw that.
It turns out DW was just talking about a random lunchbox, and Buster tries to his pants. Arthur unknowingly leaves the store with the stolen goods, and DW points out that the security cameras have been filming them the whole time. Dun dun dun. So yeah, it goes without saying, but Buster has absolutely no means to justify stealing the toy. Once you get past the intro and the arbitrary flash forward, the episode only spends 3 minutes building up to the theft. This wouldn't be a problem by itself if Buster's motive for wanting the toy wasn't incredibly contrived. In Dino Dilemma, Buster wants the fossil because it represents his genuine passion for dinosaurs and his desire to learn more about them. Here, Buster just wants the toy because everyone else has one. It'd be one thing if he was actually interested in robots, but it's way too clear that he just has a massive case of FOMO. This is just like Arthur with the Woogles, except Arthur had enough self-control not to fall for the latest fad. And it's one thing to steal a toy, but to hide the evidence in Arthur's backpack just makes Buster an unconscionable coward. If you're going to steal something, at least have the balls to steal it yourself. Don't make your friend your unwitting mule. Now let's get back to Dino Dilemma to see how Buster deals with the guilt of thievery. Buster says they can't show the fossil to anyone and then rushes home to hide it in his closet. Buster struggles to keep his secret at dinner, as he can't even stomach his mother's baby barf casserole. Arthur asks when he can come over to look at it, but Buster says they can't just whip it out in case his mom walks in. They're still talking about the fossil, right? Arthur points out there's no sense in having the fossil if they can't even look at it. I mean, it's not like you see people buying toys just to keep them in the box. Mr. Ratburn points out just how rare dinosaur fossils are, especially dinosaur footprints. Buster is so overcome with guilt that he passes out in the middle of class. Very subtle. That night, Buster gets busted by the fossil police. It turns out Arthur ratted him out after getting tickled by Ranger Ruth. Lucky bastard. The Ranger suspects Buster of hiding a whole-ass dinosaur in his room, and that's when a T-Rex bursts out of Buster's closet and eats him alive. Surprise, surprise, it turns out the whole thing was just a dream. Yeah, no shit. Buster sneaks out of the house in his pajamas and walks over to Arthur's house in the middle of the night, cause I guess he wants to end up on the side of a milk carton. He tells Arthur the guilt is literally eating him alive, and tries to foist off the stolen stone onto the apathetic aardvark. And yeah, it's kinda funny that their slippers match each other's species, but in real life this would be like having shoes with human faces on them. So as you can see, Buster is not the best when it comes to dealing with guilt, but that's not nearly as bad as the guilt trip he has after stealing a toy he didn't even want in the first place. Buster is walking home from the drugstore as he fears he sold his soul for a life of crime. He has a nightmare where Arthur goes to jail and spends the rest of his life on the run as a fugitive.
I'm innocent.
I don't care!
I didn't think I'd be making 2 Harrison Ford references in this video, but here we are.
I I've never stolen anything before.
What do you mean you've never stolen anything? I was just talking about that episode 30 seconds ago. Buster finds himself in Mr. Ratburn's Court of Infernal Affairs, where the other kids showcase their blind devotion to local law enforcement.
I went on a field trip to the police station.
Buster confesses to stealing the cyber toy, and the Jerry Curl judge deems him a real crook. Buster goes to Arthur's house, where he reveals he tricked him into smuggling the Gaki Gobot out of the store. Arthur is rightfully pissed at his best friend for dragging him into his bullshit. Buster says he only took the toy because he was jealous of everyone else, and reveals he doesn't even want it anymore. Really, Buster? You're giving up that easily? You've had the cyber toy for less than 1 day, and you haven't even played with it once. I get having thief's remorse, but at least try to enjoy the spoils of your plunder. So at this point, we have two fairly similar scenarios where Buster regrets taking something that didn't belong to him, and doesn't know how to stop feeling guilty. Let's see what solution these kids come up with to solve these two dilemmas. Arthur convinces Buster to return the fossils to the park, and calls Ranger Ruth to donate it to the museum. It would seem all's well that ends well, as the fossil goes on display and the boys high-five over getting their names on a cool little plaque. See, that wasn't so hard, was it? The two did the right thing, and even got credit for their contribution to the museum. Hopefully Nerves of Steel's resolution is just as uplifting. Arthur convinces Buster to return the cyber toy to the drugstore, but inexplicably insists on including an apology note, because it's not bad enough that they stole the toy, but they also need to leave proof. Seriously, Arthur, everyone knows you never leave a note. You don't leave a note when you ding someone's car. You drive off before the other driver realizes you don't have insurance. The next morning, Buster meets Arthur at the drugstore with the apology note, and I'm not sure what the opposite of cursive is, but even DW could have written this shit better.
We didn't mean to take this cyber toy. It just showed up in Arthur's book bag.
Dude, don't name drop your best friend in your confession. Who are you, Tay-K? Instead of just leaving the toy on the doorstep, like Arthur suggested, Buster insists they take it inside.
We can't just leave it here. What if someone steals it?
It's a little late to be asking that question, Buster. The store owner invites them inside, and the boys are shocked to discover all the other cyber toys have already been sold. So you would think they would wait to come back until the store gets more so they can slip it into the mix, right? I mean, that'd be the smart thing to do. Arthur decides to hide the toy behind a display, but it turns out the robot has gained sentience. The Tattletale Transformer hand delivers itself to the store owner, and instead of hauling ass, the boys watch helplessly as the shopkeep reads their apology note, which directly connects them to the crime.
Whose idea is this?
I don't know. I thought maybe.
See, Arthur, this is why you never apologize for anything. Ever. Buster panics at the sight of the security camera and confesses the whole scheme was his fault.
Check your security camera. You'll see it was me.
It turns out the camera doesn't even work, but the phone does. The store owner decides to tell on the boys to their parents, and has the gall to wag his finger at the two for trying to do the right thing.
I know you meant well by returning the toy, but stealing it in the first place, that's where you went wrong.
You. Look, I know there are a lot of children who watch my channel, so let me just say directly to the kids, don't f***ing steal shit. However, I also believe that consequences should be proportional to the actions that were taken. There's a big difference between stealing your friend's phone and taking a $2 candy bar from Walmart. Both are bad, but one should have much more severe consequences than the other. I'm not someone who believes petty theft is a victimless crime, but what is the store owner actually accomplishing by reprimanding these two boys for trying to fix their mistake? It'd be one thing if he caught Buster when he first tried to steal the toy, but the fact that he was willing to return it shows he already knows what he did was wrong. I could understand if the store owner gave them a talking to, or even temporarily banned them from the store, but there's no need to resort to the nuclear option for a crime he didn't even know was committed until the culprits ratted themselves out. Arthur and Buster's parents come down to the drugstore to whoop their kids' sorry asses in broad daylight. The two get grounded for life, even though Arthur didn't do a damn thing. The Reed parents say Arthur is equally guilty since he didn't immediately snitch on Buster when he found out the toy was stolen, which is a big old batch of bullshit.
We're disappointed in you, Arthur.
For what? Having stupid friends? Buster reveals he's grounded for the next 4 weekends, though I'm not sure why he's using a calendar from 1998 when the episode was made in the year 2000. His mom calls him down to dinner, and cruelly reminds him he can't have dessert. Damn, that's cold. Just like the ice cream he's not allowed to have for the next month. So remember, kids, if you're gonna steal, make sure you follow through and never return to the crime scene, because as this episode clearly shows, trying to do the right thing by fixing your mistakes will just get you in even more trouble, so you might as well stop feeling bad about stealing the store blind. Let's review. Buster became obsessed with getting an expensive toy, not because he wanted it, but because everyone else already had one. He decided to steal the toy and made his best friend his partner in crime by sneaking it into his backpack. Buster instantly regretted stealing it, as his every waking thought was taken over by the fear of going to juvie. He forced Arthur to come up with a plan to return the stolen toy, and nearly ratted him out in their apology letter. When the plan went awry, Buster spilled his guts to the merciless merchant, which ended up getting him and Arthur into way more trouble than if he had just kept the toy for himself. So, FUDW for hoarding all the brownies and snitching on your your dad to your grandma. F you Arthur for insisting on leaving an apology with the evidence. That way the store owner could directly connect you to a crime you didn't even commit. F you store owner for being unnecessarily cruel to two kids who were just trying to make up for the mistake they made. F you Mr. and Mrs. Reed for punishing your son for not ratting out his best friend to the cops. And of course, for tricking his best friend into stealing the toy in the first place and then getting in even more trouble by returning to the scene of the crime. F you Buster.
And I say,
Hey, I have a Patreon. Sign up at patreon.com/mattneff to get your name in the thank you credits, along with early access to every FUDW and the chance to vote for future episodes. If there's a movie or show you'd like me to talk about, top-tier patrons can commission a review for my channel. Check out the link in the description to become an FUDW superfan. Also, I'm now on Cameo, so make sure to check out my profile to get a personalized FU video.
and I say, hey, what a wonderful kind of day. If you could learn to work and play and get along with each other.